Yankee and the Brit's the place to be. Radio living is the life for me. Airwaves spreading out so far and wide. Keep your FM, just give me that internet side.
Online is where I'd rather stay. I've got a lot of music to play. I just adore a Yankee view. Darling, I love you, but give me a show to do.
The Chat.
The Brats.
On air.
That's fair.
You are my wife.
Goodbye, British life.
The Yankee and the Brit on air.
Good evening, Curtis Brawley.
Good evening to you both. How are you guys doing?
Not bad.
Doing
not
all
bad.
right. You in Texas right now?
I actually am in Texas right now.
Oh, that's a good man right there.
Just for 2 days, though, and then I'm back at it again. But it's nice to be home.
Where are you going this time?
I'm headed up to Las Vegas, actually, on Tuesday. And not really for work, but my buddy who plays guitar for Reba McEntire got me some backstage passes to her Vegas show. So,
oh, getting to go see the redhead.
Yeah, I'm going to go hang with the redhead and rub elbows a little bit.
Uh-oh, don't get too close. They bite.
That's what I hear.
What you should really do is wet your finger, stick it in her ear, and tell her it's from Yankee and the Brit. She'll never forget us.
That'll probably be my last backstage pass.
Well, it'll be you that'll get the black eye, not us. So
When he wakes up, he'll be over at the Gray Bar Motel.
That's right.
You live in Texas all the time then?
No, I live in Nashville. I go back and forth between Texas and Nashville because all my family's in Texas. So anytime I get an opportunity to get down to Texas and spend a few days, I take advantage of it.
Was you born and raised here?
I sure was. I lived here my entire life and made the move to Nashville about 3 years ago. A couple of years before that, I was going back and forth to Nashville. I was spending 2 weeks in Houston, 2 weeks in Nashville, and I did that for about a year and a half. And Interstate 40 that goes between Texas and Nashville got old really fast, so I finally made the move.
I bet. You can't just leave Texas like that. We need more Texans in Texas.
Yeah, I got to come back and keep my roots kind of fertilized in Texas because those Texans will get on to you if you spend too much time away and start planting your roots somewhere else.
I know, because to be honest with you, I'm a damn Yankee, and they're always giving me a load of shit. And I love every minute of it. Don't associate myself with them northern folk too much, but I don't go for all that rudeness.
And I'm sure they love to hear that.
I don't care if they like it or not. Maybe they'll change their ways and come down south and learn to be polite.
There you go.
I doubt it, but it's a thought. So, what are you doing in Nashville? What's the story over there? Is that you living there because that's where you were?
I wish you'd pay attention.
Shush up a minute.
He said he's going to stick his finger in Reba's ear.
That's not in Nashville. That's in Las Vegas. If you'd let me
all
finish
right,
my
all right.
question.
Well, right now, I actually took I'm taking off the next few months from doing shows and just focusing on recording a new album. So for between now and the end of the year, that's pretty much where all my focus is at, working on a new project to come out in the spring of next year.
Now, these songs we just played, did you record all these in Nashville?
I sure did. That entire album was done in Nashville and produced by a guy by the name of Kent Wells. He is Dolly Parton's producer and music director. And I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to spend some time with him and get to know him, and we decided to do a project together, and it was probably one of the most fun and intense projects that I've ever done, and it allowed me a lot of opportunities too, just because I got to kind of get involved with Dolly's team, and I got to go out and play with her and the same people who were managing her, managing Tanya Tucker, and that kind of how that all came about. I got to go out on the road for a couple as well.
Yeah, out there rubbing elbows with all those fine ladies.
Hey, that's what you got to do in this business.
Well, you better watch what elbows you're rubbing over there.
Takes one bad elbow.
That's right.
And you missed this mighty fine one over here.
Sounds like that small town Texas boy is climbing up the ladder quick.
Well, I'm trying.
Is that all you do now? Just music? You don't have a day job or anything then?
Fortunately, yes, that's all I do now. I spent many years of working by day and singing by night. And for the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to just do this full time. And I feel very blessed and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You sound pretty happy.
So did you sing to your work colleagues?
Yeah, occasionally. Usually by their request. When they would find out that I was also an artist and singing, they would say, well, sing something for me. And I'm like, well, that's awkward. I'm sitting at my desk and you want me to just sing a song.
Why not? It's what you do.
I know. Well, that's kind of what I finally told myself. I'm like, well, I guess I better get on board with this because that's going to happen.
How'd your boss feel about that?
Oh, they didn't ever care.
They's right there singing with you then.
I was free entertainment for the office.
Did you have some of the office girls singing backup?
No, none of them really ever cared to sing backup for me. They just wanted to know if and when I got famous and met any other of the famous guys that they like.
Yeah. That's typical, isn't it?
They're like, hey, do you know Blake?
Exactly. Can you get me in to see Luke?
Oh, come on. They could pick somebody better than that. So you're an independent artist still?
Yes.
Are you have any plans on signing on with a label, or do you like things just the way they are?
Right now, I really enjoy things just the way they are. I'm really involved in my career, both artistically and in the business side of it, and I'd like it to stay that way. I hear a lot of horror stories from people who get signed, and a lot of their ability to not only be artistic but to stay involved in the business side of it kind of goes away. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to be independent and still go out and, I say, compete with the big names, but I'm fortunate enough to get to go out and do what I love to do without the support from a major label. And as long as I can do that, I'll do it.
So when did you get started with your music?
Well, I started singing in church when I was 5 years old, and I knew then that I liked to get up in front of people and perform. And I continued to do that. And when I was a teenager, I started going to all the country music jamborees around Texas and really kind of honing my craft on how to perform with a live band, because I'd always, as a kid, always sang to tracks, kind of like a karaoke thing. So as a teenager, I spent a lot of time every Saturday. While most kids were out probably going to house parties, I was at a jamboree singing on a Saturday night. And I did that all through high school. And as soon as I graduated high school, I about gave my mother a heart attack and moved to Nashville for the first time. And that lasted about a year. And I realized I was a very small fish in a huge pond. And there were a lot of talented people there. So I ended up leaving with my tail tucked between my legs and went back to Texas and just kept working at it, honing my craft and working by day, like I said, and singing by night. And when I finally got the opportunity to start working with Kent, that's when I decided it was time to make the move back to Nashville, and it's been really good to me.
Well, let's see if we can put this in a small nutshell without, I don't want you to drag it out only for the fact that, I don't want you to be 20 minutes on something you probably don't even understand yourself or something. But as an independent, how do you get involved with the big people like that and still remain an independent without them wanting to force you to sign on and, be their beck and call girl, if you will?
Well,
how does that work? I mean, how can you be
Are
an
you
independent?
calling him a girl?
How can you be an independent and go in there and do your own thing and get your music popular? And your music's great. Don't get me wrong. It's wonderful. I love it. I'm surprised. And but how do you get in there and get involved with these people? I mean, has it taken you years to meet the right people, or do you think it was more luck than anything?
I would say a lot of it was luck. And it all started with, I was playing a self-produced live show in Texas. And in the audience was the CFO of a vodka company. And after the show, he came backstage and he was super impressed with the show and said they were looking to endorse a musician so that they could get their vodka in front of country music fans. Fast forward about 6 months, after a bunch of negotiations, I got endorsed by a vodka company. And when that happened, a lot of eyes in Nashville all turned towards me. Like, who is this guy who is an independent? Haven't really heard of him, but suddenly he's endorsed by a vodka company. And that's when the phone started ringing. People started calling, wanting to work with me. And honestly, I think a lot of that was the fact that the vodka company was pumping money into my career. So a lot of people in Music City saw dollar signs and they're like, how can we get our hands into some of this money?
Right.
So that was a big challenge to kind of go through all of that and figure out, okay, who's wanting to work with me, who believes in me and wants to help me versus who's just trying to get their hand in the pot. And so once I kind of figured that out, I found those few close people in Nashville that I could trust, and I started working with them. And fortunately, because of the endorsement, I was able to self-fund a lot of the things that we were doing. And we ended up opening a PR firm that I was part owner in, a management company that I was part owner in. So it allowed me to keep a small interest in every avenue of the team that was building around me. So I would always have a little bit of say and control in what was happening with my career, which was what was really important to me. And I think that helped gain a lot of respect from people in Music City. And although a few people have approached me about talking to them about doing deals, I felt like it was more just they saw that they could sign someone and not really have to dump a lot of their own money into it, because I had companies around me that were helping to fund a career because they believed in me. So they just wanted to be a part of it, not necessarily because they believed in me so much that they wanted to dump their own funds into it. So I've just kind of said, look, I've worked really hard to bring all these pieces together, and I've been doing that for years. So I'm just going to stick on that path until something is presented to me that's better than what I got right now.
And therein is where the story takes the turn into the Nashville part, where, yes, they like the idea that they don't have to spend a lot of money and can make a lot of money. So,
right.
And that leads into a whole nother thing. But, yeah, I was just curious how you would go from, how that works, you know, to go from, and forgive me for using the words, but from a nobody to somebody. You know, I don't mean nobody in a bad way, but I mean a small Texas boy.
Oh, yes, you do.
Small Texas boy all of a sudden is hanging out with the big people, you know, and I just always wonder how you step from one stone to the other without falling in.
Yeah, I get it. It's a slippery stone. I'll be honest with you. You're always kind of riding the fence between not getting too close to someone where they can feel like they can take advantage of you versus, you know, getting close enough to people to where they can get to know you and they can trust you, and you can get to know them and you can trust them.
So it's like a relationship between a man and a woman. You start to learn each other and get to know each other before you really jump in and ask the question, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's a terrible way to put it. It makes me think the fact that I'm married.
And hopefully this career doesn't end in a divorce.
Do you write your own music?
Yeah, I write a lot of my own music, and I also record a lot of other people's music as well. I've kind of been criticized at times from people saying, you know, why don't you just record what you write? And my take on it has always been, I'm a performer. That's what I really love to do. And whether or not I wrote the song or another amazing songwriter wrote the song, it doesn't matter to me as long as the song touches me and I feel like it will touch other people. That's all that matters to me. So on the album, there's several songs that I wrote and several wonderful songs from other songwriters around Nashville.
Well, if your heart and soul is in it, if it touches you, it will automatically touch others, won't it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, that's always one of my big things is if I'm going to record a song, can I really submerge myself into that song and believe what I'm singing? Because if I can express the emotion and really believe what I'm singing about, then I think that will transpire to other people who are listening to it, and they'll believe what I'm saying. And I think in the end, that's the biggest goal for me, and probably one of the most important things for a listener is to hear the emotion in the artist as they're performing the song.
And it's possible, you know, to take someone's song, put your own stamp on it, make it your own, so to speak, and
Sure.
make everybody else feel it as well. You know, Kent Maxon that we had on this show a few weeks ago, Kyle Bogart, he's a singer. He doesn't play guitar, he doesn't write any songs, he doesn't play any instruments, but he's one hell of a singer, and he has an album out, and none of the songs are his songs, but he's put his stamp on that whole album. You know, he's made it his album, so to speak. And
Yeah, I think
it's
that's
brilliant.
100% okay. I mean, you do what you're good at. Instead of trying to be good at a bunch of things, be badass at one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That song, Hate Me, where does that come from?
That actually was not written by me, and it came across my desk one day, and I turned it on, and I immediately fell in love with it because I felt like pretty much anybody, I think we've all been in a situation where you're trying to move on from someone. Maybe you're trying to get over someone, but they just keep sending you those sweet text messages, or you see them out at a local bar and they're just really nice to you and they still look really good. And you're like, God, you know, you're making it really tough for me to get over you. And I thought that was such a cool twist on a song by saying Hate Me. As you know, as soon as someone sees the title Hate Me, they're like, what the heck is that song about? And I felt like it was such a cool twist.
Yeah,
and
it
told
is.
such a good story that most people could relate to, that I really wanted to do it.
I think as far as a story, I like that one the best.
Yeah, and it's by far my most popular song on Spotify. Every song that I've released is out on Spotify, and still to this day, I wake up and every day I check my stats to see what has happened on Spotify, and I'll wake up in the morning and it'll be 1,200 streams of Hate Me in the last 24 hours and 100 of another song in the last 24 hours. It's like, man, this song, people just really like this song.
So Curtis Brawley may be the guy that everybody loves to hate.
Hey, that's okay. I'll go with that.
Just keep putting them quarters in the jukebox.
You got to be known for something.
And I got to ask about the Drink a Beer song.
Yeah. I originally recorded, so I have two versions of that song. I just released a remix to it, but I originally recorded that song that's pretty much a straightforward country song. And over the last year and a half, I've realized that I have a much more diverse audience than I realized, or maybe that I even had in the beginning. And I felt like I wanted to take something that I've done and enhance it in a way that would be pleasing to the ears of a broader audience and a more diverse audience. So I decided to do a remix dance version of a song You Can Drink a Beer To, and it turned out just like I really wanted it to. So I'm really proud of it, and people have sent me lots of great comments on it. So it was a lot of fun to do, and it was just cool to kind of get out of what I normally do and do something different.
Well, are you young?
Am I young?
Yeah, as in like 30 or less?
I'm in my 30s.
Where the hell did you get the energy to do a song like that? I mean, I could picture you in the studio just banging your head against the wall doing this song, you know.
Hey Curtis, have you got low signal on your phone? You keep cutting in and out. Can you stand on one leg?
Yeah, let me stand on one leg and raise one arm.
Don't forget the tinfoil on your head.
Tinfoil on your head.
Am I sounding any better at all?
A little bit.
You got your head out the window now, haven't you?
Yep, just like my dog does.
Don't fall down in the street.
Yeah, that's my favourite song of yours, Drink a Beer. I think I've heard it about 30 times and I still love it.
I know, but like I said, I can just see him in the studio just like banging around going, drink a beer, 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 beer. Like, geez, you're going to break your neck or something over there.
You know, I still feel like I'm in my early 20s.
Oh, let it rock then.
So I'll meet someone who's about my age and I think to myself, I can't be their age because I feel so much younger than the way they're acting. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to roll with it. You know, I feel young, so I'm going to act young.
You know what? Enjoy it, because when you start dressing like an old man, everything's going to change. I know this for a fact.
Well, in this business, you have to stay as young as possible for as long as possible.
I guess. I don't know how some guys do it. You know, I just don't. Guys or women. I don't know how
Yeah.
the gals do it either, because I see them all of a sudden starting to dress a little different because they're older, but I still see them trying to be the young person they were. And it's like, look, lady, this, you can sing, stay in the studio, but quit with the videos.
I will say that going to bed at 2:00 in the morning on a tour bus and waking up at 7 a.m. for a radio interview is getting a lot tougher.
I can imagine. Who's your bandmates? You have your own band, or do you use studio musicians?
No, I have my own band. I've got my guitar player. His name is Jake Parshall. He's fantastic. I've been sharing him recently with a couple of other artists as well. So he stays really busy. If I'm not working, he's out working somewhere else. Jeremy Lee Abbott, he's my drummer. Everybody wants to look him up on Instagram. He's got a great Instagram profile, and he posts a lot of cool things, and he'll get on live and he'll play drums to a lot of famous songs. He's just a fantastic drummer. But it's a group of 5, and we have a fun time. When we put the band together, we actually held auditions and had a personality interview questionnaire that people filled out. And by the end of it, we found great musicians who all the personalities really clicked and got along well with and could do well in 600 square feet on a tour bus together.
Yeah, because that's what you've got to do, haven't you? You've got to be stuck together all that time.
That's like
Yep.
That's like living in a house trailer with your wife and 6 kids.
And that's right. You get to know
a Great Dane.
really well, really fast.
So is there any point in your life or any influences or anything that's happened in your life that has defined your music style?
Well, growing up, I always admired Reba.
Oh, here we go with Reba again.
I know. I've got a thing for redheads. What can I say?
Hey, I agree with you. Me and my buddy, when we were young, boy, it was all about Reba.
Reba, I felt like always had this amazing ability to, in a live show, she could bring a song to life. She could bring like the song to life in the form of a music video, but it was live on stage. It's like the story kind of would unfold right before your eyes at a concert. And so I always, every time I walk out on stage, I want to become the character of the song that I'm singing, because that's what I always admired in her when watching her shows. So when I pick songs, like I said earlier, I try to pick songs that I feel like I can live the character of that story so that it will show to the people who are watching or listening.
So that makes you an actor.
I guess so. My manager keeps telling me I need to get into acting too, so I can become full circle here.
You think you don't get any sleep now?
Yeah, I know.
So what's your earliest musical memory from when you were young and had little legs?
Well, if I can pull a wife right here. He told you that already when he said he was 5 years old singing in a choir.
No,
Don't you listen to anything over there?
Wasn't there anything earlier than that? Because I have like memories from
What,
when
how
I was
much
like,
earlier than 5 years
I
old
have
do you want?
memories from when I was like 2 and 3. You know, it's funny what you remember actually.
Well, who can forget a full diaper? Come on. let the guy talk.
Hopefully I was toilet trained at that point.
You're still not toilet trained.
I know.
Sorry, carry on.
Well, I will say there was one defining moment where I knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that was in 7th grade. We had a talent show in my middle school. And I planned out this whole little skit, and I sang Bob Seger's Old Time Rock and Roll. And I was standing with my back towards the audience. The curtain opened, the song started playing, and I turned around and I took my sunglasses off and I threw them across the stage into the audience. And I just thought I was a rock star.
Sounds like a little Tom Cruise.
And how old is 7th grade?
Oh, that would have been 13.
Yeah,
Ah.
12, 13, right in
Cool.
there.
It's all right.
Yeah.
They don't do them in grades where I come from, so I never know what age
Okay.
these grades are.
Yeah, I won first place that night, and just when the audience started yelling and screaming and clapping, that high that I got from that at that moment, I knew, I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I was as happy as I think I had ever been as a kid at that moment, and ever since then I've had the bug.
Jeez, I wore tights as Peter Pan in first grade, and I never wanted to get back on the stage again after that.
Oh my gosh, we're hearing all Randy's secrets.
A lot of people probably did want you to get back on the stage after that.
I don't think they quite knew which side of the fence they were on at that age. Go on, wife. You got all the questions over there.
So, do all the ladies throw their underwear at you when you're on stage?
I've never had that happen. So I don't know if that's an insult or what, but...
Definitely an insult.
Yeah.
They must make all this up in videos then, because I see so many videos, where women are throwing their bras and their undies and things. It's like, here, I thought that was real.
Nope, never happened to me. If it ever does, though, I'm going to be a big gentleman about it. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to stick it in my pocket.
If it ever does, as long as they don't stick, pick it up and keep it. If they stick to your face, then I'd let them go.
What if it lands on your head and sticks, and you can't take it off your head, and you're going to have to go all night with a pair of grundies on your head?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting story to tell, for sure.
Now, do you understand why we sent the British packing with their tea?
Be quiet.
Let me ask, are any of your family musically inclined in any way?
No, not really. Nobody has ever in my family really pursued music or even really did it as a hobby. My mom loves to sing and she loves music, and she's told me many times as a kid she always wanted to get on stage and become a star, and she never did it and never even tried to do it. So she kind of lives vicariously through me now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Other than that, no. People ask me all the time where it came from, and I don't know. I never really took voice lessons or anything. It just kind of was one of those things that as a young age I started singing and people liked it, and so I just kept doing it. So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll find out that my great-great-great-grandfather was a superstar or something.
Maybe.
So what's your advice for your future self when you become rich and famous?
To never forget the times that I was not rich and famous.
And never forget the Yanki and the Brit show.
No, please.
That's right.
I'm sure he won't forget the Brit.
I know.
I got to ask you, too, when you're in the studio, do you have backup singers? I really haven't listened deeply into your music to see if there was any backup singers.
There are backup singers on all of my music, but they're never there when I'm there. It's always something that's done at the end. So we go in and record all of the instrumentation, and then once that's kind of fine-tweaked, I'll go in and do all of my vocals. And then I don't hear it again until background vocals have come in and done their part, and they've done a fairly decent mix to it, and then I'll come back in and start listening to it and making tweaks to it myself.
Doesn't anybody go in the studio and do anything live anymore? Does everything have to be pre-recorded and all put together later?
Yeah, it's rare to find that anymore. We do some rehearsals sometimes in the recording studio, and it's a lot of fun because everybody's there and there's this energy with one another.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it doesn't happen anymore. I'm sure it's because I think the ear has been trained these days that music has to be absolutely perfect.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't, but I feel like it is because it has been made so perfect for so many years now because of all the digital tools that now it's like the ears have been trained to hear it even more when something's not right. So people are so afraid to not have it perfect.
I know that's very sad too, because when you go to a concert or you go to a bar or a festival and let's say you're on stage playing, you're not going to nail it exactly like you would in the studio, because in the studio they can cut this out and clip that out and edit this and add that. And I go and I listen to the music and I'm watching, but this is me now, I don't know about other people, but I watch the band. I love to watch them play. I like to watch somebody bend the strings, the drummer sweat, the faces he makes, all that stuff. And you can't see that with music, but if the music is recorded raw and for real, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm just speaking for myself. My imagination can see all that kind of thing added into it because you can hear it.
Well, I think that's why for so many years it's still popular. The Grand Ole Opry plays live on the radio, and people still love to hear that live, raw music.
I think so, too.
If they're not there watching it in person, they still enjoy hearing things as it unfolds. And I think they appreciate when things don't go as planned. in a live show. That just makes it more entertaining. And at the end of the day, that's all they're there for. That's all they care about, is to be entertained.
Well, like you were saying about being in the studio, all of you together, playing off of each other's reactions, giving a smile, giving a frown, just somebody being goofy while they're not doing anything. I mean, that makes everybody laugh and giggle, and you just want to do more and put more into that music.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's when I'm at my best, when I can see the expressions on people's faces and we can play off of one another.
Sure, because maybe you tear up a riff or something and, like playing live, sometimes you might burn up a good riff and, you see the crowd like look at you like, wow, look at that. And then you might say, well, shit, I'll do that again.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's been one of the most challenging thing for me in a recording studio is trying to get into that character and really get emotional about a song when you have no audience in front of you and no one to look at. And you're singing your butt off trying to make something as good as possible. And then when you're done, there's no feedback because there's nobody there. You're in a room by yourself pretty much. And so it's always a challenge to try and take, a little 4x4 or 5x5 room that you're standing in and make a song come to life. And you're just kind of standing there staring at a wall.
Yeah. Does that even give you enough room to move, to have some feeling?
Yeah, not very much. I've several times, my hands will hit the wall or hit the microphone and we'll have to stop and start over because I've hit something and made some noise.
That's why they can't have a whole band in there, because the room's not big enough.
Right.
Well, I know we're no superstars by any means, but Donna and I just do a lot of goofy songs and stuff, and
you
we
speak
sit
for
here.
yourself. I'm a superstar.
And we'll do it over and over and over. With the music, we'll sit here and do it 20 or 30 times so we can do it all the way through the song once. And, usually by the end of it, we can say, yeah, that's good enough.
That's good enough.
I'd like to watch
that's always the goal, for it to be just good enough.
It is with us, because I get to the point, it's like, you know what, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, that's what we're like. We're like, at that point, we're like, we don't care. We're just going to put it out there.
But I think it's, I think there's a little lacking anymore as far as it, because I don't want to hear and I don't like the fact that you're obviously old enough to have heard records that were, recorded in stereo. And I'm talking records, vinyl, not CDs or cassettes or anything, but they were recorded in a stereo style instead of this concert music hall kind of crap that they want to do now. And there's no separation. You listen to Pink Floyd or Zeppelin or something like that. It goes from ear to ear. You can hear the guitar come in one side and vanish out the other side. It's just so much different than this concert thing.
Yeah, I hear you. Every time I come to Texas, there's a station here that's a country legend station, and I always listen to it. And man, this music is so good. But it was a lot of the music from back then was not made so perfect, and it's just raw and emotional, and it tells a great story. And I miss when country music was like that. And don't get me wrong, I love all kinds of music, new music, traditional country music, rap music, pop music. I have an appreciation for all kinds of music, but I love how some of the older traditional country music just kind of cuts through to the soul.
Yes, sir.
And tells such great stories that people can relate to.
What do you think about the music industry today?
I think the music industry is falling apart. I feel like people haven't figured out what the new path is for the music industry. I think a lot of the big name executives who've been in the industry for a long time knew how to do it back in the 80s and 90s, and things have shifted so much that they haven't wrapped their heads around where the industry is going and how to make it profitable again. And I'm looking forward to a new generation kind of stepping in and taking over the business side of it and figuring out how to make it a profitable business again and make sure that the people who are out there creating art get compensated for it and that everybody can enjoy it. The listeners can love it. The people out there working hard to give it to the listeners can love it and make a living off of it again.
You think there's a future for independent artists more so than there ever was?
More so than there ever was, yes. being an independent artist is becoming kind of a popular thing these days.
But do you think it'll last? I mean, fads come and go, blue jeans, tank tops, whatever,
I don't know. I think if the major labels don't figure out how to start training a new artist and developing them and staying behind them for a long time and building them into a long, big career that everybody can get a return on their investment, if they don't figure that out, then everybody, the whole industry, I think, is going to evolve into an independent thing. Because the labels don't want to dump millions of dollars into an artist these days unless they're already developed and they already have a huge following and they've already have success under their belt.
That's how it used to be, I believe, was like Sun Records. Elvis was a nobody. Somebody took him under their wing, the Colonel did, and look what he turned him into.
Yeah.
Where's all that at now? And it seems like anymore somebody's a flash in the pan.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the, especially major label artists, they're 2 or 3 hit songs, and once they even get a glimpse that maybe they're starting to slide, the label drops them and moves on to the next one. It's a lot of 2 and 3 year careers these days. Instead of, if you look back at people like Tanya Tucker and Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton and Reba, who've had huge careers for years, and then you look at the new artists that have come out in the last 5 to 10 years, a lot of those people's careers only last for 3 to 5 years, and then they kind of fade away, and then the next big thing comes out.
Do you think that the money that they make in those 3 to 5 years is enough to set them up for life if they make it really big?
No way. No, I don't. And I say that just because I know artists who had huge careers in the 80s and 90s when the money was just flowing. And now they are taking shows for $10,000 just because they need to make their mortgage payment.
Wow.
That's where the industry has changed. And a lot of that comes from, the music streaming. Unfortunately, the day of people going out and buying music, that's in the past. That people just don't do that anymore. Used to, an artist would go out and do tours to promote an album that was out, so people would go buy the album. Now it's the opposite. Now they're making an album just to promote their tour because the tour is the only place they're making money these days.
Got to be another way.
There's got to be, and if you figure it out, let me know. We'll go into business together.
Well, I mean, you were talking about the future of independence and everything, and you said you were saying that you might like to try to get a handle on raising some of these people the proper way. And it's I hear what you're saying, and I hear it's in there, but what steps could you possibly take to change people's view on that? Since it's just and I won't even comment what I think about it, but people can just get music. You can go anywhere and download it. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to pay for it. Friends share it. I mean, when I was young, everybody went out and bought a Pink Floyd album. You went and bought it.
Right.
You didn't borrow your friends and listen to it. You didn't take your friend's album home and record it on a cassette or an 8-track or everybody went and bought their own copy of it. But nowadays, why should I do that when I can just say, hey, have you got this song? And they'll send you a file and, boom, you got the song.
Yep.
Or you can go on YouTube and just listen to it on YouTube. Everybody seems to put it on YouTube.
Yep, everything's there. And if you don't put it there, then you're kind of in a music world today. If you don't have it there, then people just aren't going to hear you and learn about you. Because unfortunately, that's where everybody goes. They're not going to a store and buying it. They're not going to iTunes and buying it. There's still a few people out there who do, but the majority of people are going to YouTube or they're going to Spotify or Pandora, and they're just kind of people are into instant gratification, and they can get it. They can listen to it. If they like it, they'll save it and listen to it over and over. And if they don't, they move on to the next one.
Right. And you're not making anything off of iTunes.
No, it's very little. You can, especially Spotify, you can have 50,000 streams on Spotify and get a check for $15.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. I didn't want to say it particularly because I don't know how it works for you, but you put your song out there, and like you said, somebody likes it, they'll listen to it over and over, but they only pay for it one time, listen to it a million times. But it's like buying a record. But like I
Yeah.
said, you don't have to buy that record anymore. Now you can just get it
Exactly.
from somebody else, so it doesn't cost
Well,
anybody anything.
That's why, I mean, most artists these days, they're getting their hands into a variety of different things. They've got clothing lines and cologne and perfume and jewelry, and they're having to get into a lot of different businesses and branding to make money. And I think that's okay. I mean, you got to figure it out. What do you have to do to continue to fund your career and make money and continue to do what you love to do?
Yeah, but you
but
better
it's-
stay on top of that, because how long can a clothing line last these days, or a cologne or a perfume?
Yeah.
That stuff just blows away in the wind like everything else does anymore.
Yeah, everything these days evolves really fast.
Yeah,
So
there's-
you're constantly having to research what is going to be the next big thing that I need to start working on now.
yeah, I think there's too much of too many things, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's 15,000 different brands of cologne out there, from Calvin Klein down to Bobby Joe Johnson or something, whatever you can find on the shelf. I mean, how do you choose? How do you pick one? How do you define one that defines you, and you go back and you keep buying that product all the time when you can, well, I didn't like this one, so I'll buy this one. Well, I don't like that, so I'll buy this one. You buy 50 different ones, and pretty soon you're like, you know what, I'm sick of all of them. I won't buy any of them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 50 years ago, for the music industry specifically, there were 25 to 50 really good country music artists that people knew about. Well, with technology today, there's thousands of artists out there that you can go and listen to at any moment on YouTube. So it's like a supply and demand thing. There's the supply is just endless. So the demand is kind of going away because they have so many different options to choose from.
What I find overwhelming about the amount of artists out there, independent artists like yourself, is, before we had that music in the email, we'd never heard of you before. Same as all the others that have come on this show. We've barely heard of any of them before. And we're now starting to see them circulating around Facebook through these little voting things, and people are sharing other people's internet radio stations now. But what can you do as an independent artist to make yourself stand out above the rest? Because we could finish our conversation tonight and probably never hear your name again. That's what I struggle with, is there's that many out there. How do we make you, or how do we make Bob Kennedy in the chat room stand out from the rest and be memorable? 5 years down the line, I'm going to go, I'm going to look up his name, and I'm going to buy his latest CD, or I'm going to... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I actually had the opportunity to sit on a couch in the studio and have this exact same conversation with Dolly Parton. And I asked her that very question. How do you continue to do this and, as I mentioned earlier, beat out the other competition? And her words to me was, the only way to do it is you have to outlast everyone else, because everyone's going to go down the same path that you're on. They're going to make great music. They're going to get out and they're going to promote it, try to get their name in front of many people as possible. But over time, people are going to get frustrated. They're going to get burnt out, and they're going to stop. And the person that people are going to finally remember and become a household name, it's because they outlasted everyone else.
Just like running a race.
And that might be true, because Dolly's still there. All the ones that we all knew and grew up listening to when we was a kid. Well, you guys, should I say. I mean, there was hardly any country in the UK. But, people like Dolly and, Kenny Rogers, people like that, they're the ones that will probably still be around after we've all passed away, even if it's just in name.
Have you tried to promote yourself across the ocean?
We've just started tapping into that over the last few months, and we actually started that with the remix because we felt like the remix was such a diverse style of music that it might lend to the ears across the ocean, as you say. And we're planning to do some overseas shows in 2019. So that'll be my first experience doing that, and hopefully that goes well.
Well, at least go where they speak bloody English.
And what
Good.
exactly are you trying to say?
Tanya Tucker's manager, who I've become really good friends with, he's from the UK, and so he's been in the industry a long time. So he's eager to try and help me get some exposure over there, and he thinks that they'll like me over there. We'll see.
I don't see why they wouldn't. You sound like a pretty good guy.
I hope so, but my personal opinion, and this is only mine, so please don't take what I say as anything. But
I certainly don't.
When I've asked it on my Facebook, I've said UK friends, what's your favourite country artist or favourite country song, and they automatically say Islands in the Stream, or they say Kenny Rogers or Dolly. They don't even mention anybody else.
That's correct.
And it's I don't know whether you guys would struggle over there to there's no country radio stations over there that I know of, and maybe there is, but it's not what you hear on the radio every day, and it's not in the top 40 charts. It's you don't hear about it on the TV. So I don't know how open people are going to be to that kind of music. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love country music, and it's only since I've been over here mostly.
Since you met that redneck Yankee.
I've got to know it over time because I did the show with Randy for 3 years when I was in Derby.
Well, I'll just have to take my high heels and my blonde wig for a back.
Oh, baby. Was
But
you a
yeah.
lot lizard at one time?
What?
A lot lizard at one time, were you?
Hey, you got to pay the bill somehow.
Working that truck stop down in San Antone. I know how it goes. Well, let me ask you a few questions here, then we'll cut you loose.
All right.
Number one, what's your favorite word?
My favorite word. I've never been asked this question.
Well, it's your first time. Now you can come up with one.
This Randy's 10 boring questions. You could be asked anything.
Man, that's a good question.
Now, there must be something you say a lot.
Let me come back to that one.
All right, what's your least
Since
favorite?
it's the first time I've been asked, I want to make sure I answer it right.
I don't think there is a right and a wrong. What's your least favorite word?
Failure.
What turns you on?
Confidence.
What turns you off?
Lies.
Wives?
Lies.
Oh, lies.
Wives and lies.
Wives used to turn me on till I got caught one time. That was the end of that.
Oh.
What sound do you love?
The ocean.
What sound do you hate?
Crying babies.
Bless your soul, son. What's your favorite drink?
Margarita.
What profession, other than yours, now that you're a professional musician, would you like to attempt?
Well, I've already attempted this, but one of my favorite position outside of music is a police officer.
What profession would you not like to do?
A doctor.
Can't do blood and guts?
No, I can, but I couldn't take the heartbreak that would come constantly when you lose patients.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's got to be pretty sad. Number 10, last one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you get to those pearly gates?
I've been looking forward to meeting you.
Wow, cool.
So if you could have a party in the sky with someone, who would it be?
Can't be Reba. She ain't there yet.
Or me. I'm not there yet either.
My grandmother.
There you go. All right, you want to work on that favorite word?
Yeah, favorite word.
Reba.
Passionate.
All right, that's it from me.
So before we flush you down the toilet, where can these guys purchase your music?
Go to my website, which is curtisbrawley.com. I spell my last name Brally. curtisbrawley.com, and there's a link there to all my music, my merchandise, and all my social media platforms, so you can come and say hello.
Roger, tenfold. Sounds
Very
like a
cool.
plan.
Yes, sir.
You're an all right guy, man. I think you're going to go places.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Thanks for hanging out with us, and hurry back to Texas soon because the Lone Star is missing you.
I will. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, and if you get up here around Dallas, anywhere Dallas, you get close to us, let us know, man. Come on up here and hang out with us for a Friday night or Saturday night or something.
All right. Yeah, Tanya and I will probably be up there next summer.
Bring your guitar. We'll plug you in.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Good night.
Here's Curtis Brawley. Drink a beer.
Maybe you're at the end of a 50-hour work week and it's Friday night. Maybe you just turned 21 and you're having the time of your life. You're falling in love. Maybe you're breaking up. And there's a steel guitar playing or a bass line bumping and you're grabbing a cold one. And you want to hear a song you can drink a beer to. Dance all night, cry if you want to. Remember how good it was back then. Forget why your heart is breaking. Raise your glass, tip it back. Nothing else in the world makes you feel like that. Wherever you're standing, whatever your point of view, there's something about a song you can drink a beer to. Maybe you got somebody by your side that you've been kissing on. And maybe you got caught cheating or you were cheated on. Or you're a soldier, got your orders, and you're shipping out in the morning. Or you spent half your paycheck just to see this show tonight. Wanna hear a song you can drink a beer to. Dance all night, cry if you want to. Remember how good it was back then. Forget why your heart is breaking. Raise your glass, tip it back. Nothing else in the world makes you feel like that. Wherever you're standing, whatever your point of view, there's something about a song you can drink a beer to. Something you can sing along to, nod your head to, shake your ass to. Something you can hold on to. And you wanna hear a song you can drink a beer to. Dance all night, cry if you want to.